Question number 3. So please sit down. You've asked the question. Senator Cherarki.
Madam Speaker, my question is related to question 001 by Senator Joyce. Mine is to find out from the cabinet minister, because he's always quick to say in media and political rallies, the status of the investigation of killing of Fr.Aloice at Bed, the killings that happened in Kimwani, in Tindred constituency in Nandi County, and on the status including policy and any administrative action taken against senior police officers on the youth attack by the police playing pool game in Nandi Hills Town in Nandi County. I yield back, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
Madam Speaker, allow me to use the dispatch. This is the closest that I can get to the CS. I don't see a lot of him these days. Yeah, sure. So, Madam Speaker, first of all, is to control with the family of Victor Kipngeno for the loss of their kin. Madam Speaker, my question is based on the policy direction that the CS is giving or is considering to give the National Police Service. Because, Madam Speaker, the killings by police officers have become too commonplace. What policy direction is he giving to the service to ensure that everybody feels comfortable in presence of police officers? I thank you.
Senator Veronica Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and welcome back to Senate. Honorable CS, we have not seen you. You might need to be giving us a time slot when we can see you, so we sort some of those issues. Honorable CS, with the concerns that are being raised by Kenyans against the police service for the way they are managing riots, political rallies, what policy intervention have you undertaken or are you undertaking to ensure that the police are more friendly to the people, that people do not face the gun as opposed to a negotiation with the police? And what are you doing to ensure that the heightened political tension right now in the rallies does not escalate to limits that the police may not even be able to control? Because right now there is such heavy tension and 2027 is very far off. Thank you.
Senator Shakila, you already asked supplementary questions. Is it a different matter? You already asked the supplementary questions to this question.
It's related to the same, Madam Speaker.
You had already had your bite at it. That's the point I'm making. CS, you may now answer the questions. I have noted that Senator Gerard Gay's questions are linked to question 003C, but should you not be able to give the full detail, I think you may want to undertake to provide that information later, but if you are able to answer, then you can answer. You may proceed, CS.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, let me say that on the part of this question by policy on the victims of police brutality, in terms of compensating victims of police brutality. Police brutality is manifested in various forms and style. And forms is the most important thing to say here. There are those that happen as a result of police officers undertaking their duties or when they ought to perform their duties. For example, during rallies and during public protests and picketing and so forth. That is what the broad-based arrangement was trying to deal with victims of such situations where people were exercising their constitutional right, and in the process, they have lost their lives. And there was a cut period of 2017 to 2025 for the process that was injuncted by courts. We hope that that process can quickly be sorted, and a consent may be recorded in court to enable this administration to do something that is unprecedented. First of all, let me start by saying that police brutality did not start 3 years ago with this administration. Police brutality was actually has been witnessed since 1963. But it was even heavy in the last administration, Mr. Speaker, where our friends now are considered by people on the other side of political divide to be very clean. I see sometimes, which is a paradox, Madam Speaker, that sometimes you find today complainers about police brutality are actually dining together with the people they still not have answered questions on police brutality in the last administration. But be that as it may, because that is really has become the level of hypocrisy in our country. As soon as someone joins certain political wing, they are no longer being held into account. And so to avoid such situations, I decided on July 18th of July last year to give a written policies document, a directive to the IG on conditions as to the use of force and firearm by police officers, so that it can guide them when are they using their firearm, what we should do, what kind of officer should be deployed, what is the mental health status of a police officer who's being deployed, so that we don't have situations where officers who are struggling with mental health challenges are being deployed and then they use their firearm to kill civilians. So that then in future, if I find myself in the same situation with my predecessor, who I see now is busy campaigning, and I'm asked a question, at least I have a basis of Madam Speaker saying, showing Kenyans what I have done to guide on the process of police brutality. If the people of Kenya, if we now talk about police brutality generally, there is also police brutality in other situations that are unrelated to exercise of your own rights. Sometimes police officers are accused of harassing detainees or remandees, not detainees, remandees. Sometimes you are accused of killing colleagues in police stations. They are accused of harassing and hurting innocent citizens, collecting bribes and so forth. And we cannot deny, because there are some police officers, errant police officers, who bring a bad name to the police service. But you have a service of over 100,000 police officers. You can't blame everybody because of a few of them who have erred. Number two is that, so therefore, this victims protection compensation policy can only be better served by law. It cannot just be a policy, because after that, a budgetary provision must be given by Parliament. This is something that we must discuss deeply, and even to the extent of who is a victim and who is a victim of police brutality. When is a police officer considered to be committing an offense in the course of duty, to the extent that he is not personally liable, the state should be able to compensate anyone. So I encourage somebody that asked whether we think we should we should come up with a legislative proposal. I think I encourage members of Parliament to come up with these proposals and show us how best we can be able to move forward on this issue. Honorable Nyutu, on the reduction of police, I think I have answered that we are working very hard. One of the ways that we will reduce the impact of police interventions in public gatherings and public meetings is, Madam Speaker, to make sure that our police officers are properly trained. During Jukwaa la Usalama forum that we did last year, we really came to understand that police training is an issue that we must work on. Most police officers are trained only once in their lifetime during recruitment. And some of them, we even discovered after the death of Honorable Ngondo Were, the Speaker, who is the Chair of Parliamentary Service Commission of National Assembly, requested an IG to train your VIP protection police officers because some of you are having bodyguards who have never gone for training for the last 10, 15, 20 years. For the time they have been with you, they have never fired even one bullet anywhere. And so, Madam Chair, I thank the Chair of Parliamentary Service Commission for inviting the IG to train those officers. So continuous training is a very important issue within the police service, and I appreciate the fact that all of us now believe that we should give the necessary budgetary allocation for continuous training. Currently, the National Police Service has revamped their regional training centers in many parts of the country to ensure that we have a framework for continuous training for police officers on human rights, on the Constitution itself, on managing crowds. At the moment, I want to report to the country that we are undertaking a training for our police officers to be ready to manage crowds differently, and that training is ongoing now. And we are taking a number of police officers in different contingents so that we can deploy them ahead of the others when there is public functions and or protests that may ensue. But the best remedy, Madam Speaker, is in this House. It is with the members of Parliament. It's with our leaders. If we change the way we do our politics, we will not need to deploy a single police officer. There are counties in this country that politicians are campaigning day in, day out. They don't go around with any police officer because the ethics, the behavior, the values that they have as they campaign in their counties, both their citizens and those who are asking for votes understand that violence is not useful or helpful to anybody. But there are parts of this country that before elected leaders go for any function, they first have to spend money hiring either goons or gangs to accompany them to those functions. And Mr. Speaker, the solution is in this chamber. The solution is in this chamber and similar places where leaders are. If we can organize our politics differently, we will not need to deploy a single police officer. And even when we deploy just in case of a few criminals in there, they will not need to fire any single bullet because the politics are organized, they're clear, they're clean. Now there is a continuous spread of goonism and hooliganism across the country. It used to be confined to the urban cities, to the cities actually. It used to be Nairobi problem, Kisumu, and a few other places. But now it's become a national problem. Even in rural areas, elected leaders and aspiring leaders are actually organizing goons across the country. I think that is the existential threat to national security in this country, because those who are organizing, Madam Speaker, are in both sides of the political divide. They are in different level of political campaign, and eventually they say, why did the police fire a bullet, or why did the police kill somebody? But had we not organized the goons to come to our meetings, we could not have that situation. Thank you. Madam Speaker, I think the other issue was there's a good question that was asked by the Senator of Nandi regarding the investigations that are going on in that accusation of alleged police brutality in Nandi County, and in the situation of Fr.Aloice, who died in our county last year. Madam, in the county where I come from, that's Elgeyo Marakwet County, and was killed by suspected bandits. Madam Speaker, I can speak authoritatively on the question of Fr.Aloice, because that's something I know, and I have followed through the story. The biggest challenge the police are facing is to get witnesses, even where investigation lead to certain suspects. The problem is to get the witnesses, and where, because many people get intimidated not to come forward to provide evidence. The other challenge was that these are illegal firearms. So even when you do ballistic analysis, the challenge is how to link that firearm to a person, because it is not a legally issued firearm. So, but the police officers have been doing everything they could to sort this issue. I'm glad also to note that despite the terrible situation that faced Fr.Aloice and his family, that as a result of that incident, police and the security sector having worked very hard, we've been able to disarm all the criminals that were within that area of Marakwet East. And now we can confidently say we have removed nearly all the guns. If there's any gun, there must be someone who is hiding somewhere with it. But we have collected over 1,300 guns in the Kerio Valley belt as a result of our targeted operations. And I want to thank the security team and the community for cooperating, and continue sending condolences to the family of Fr.Aloice, whom I visited. And we continue praying for that family, even in this difficult, in this situation that they found themselves, difficult times. On the question of the other issues within Nandi County, I think the Honorable Senator can bring a specific question. Then we can respond, Madam Chair, formally, either through the committee or the chamber. On the use of force, on Senator Wambua, I had already responded to that issue on my policy directive on use of force that I issued on 18th of July 2025. On the question of rallies, I think Honorable Veronica Maina, I have also responded to that issue in terms of, yes, the police are being trained to manage public crowds in situations that may come up during rallies, but it's more important for us to organize ourselves better. I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think there was any other question. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Senators, we now move on to question number 4. And this is a question by Senator Professor Tom Ojenda, but Senator Wafula Wakoli will ask on his behalf. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to welcome Waziri Kipchumba and your entry.